Hey guys, and welcome to our Spring into Summer release webinar. I'm Matt McGowan, the Chief Product Officer here at Console, and with me is TJ, our Senior Product Manager.
Good morning, everyone.
Guys, we're going to dive right into this, but before we do, can I just get you to just have a look down the bottom right-hand side of your screen, and there'll be a question and answer button. That's how we want you to submit your questions in. We've got a panel online ready to take those questions throughout the webinar. And we're going to stay online after the webinar's finished and take a couple more of those questions. So let's get right into it. It's a little bit of a different format today. We're kind of mid-quarter, so a lot of you guys missed our normal release, which is our spring release webinar that we did as part of Nebula. And we thought we'd do an encore. So we're actually going to look at some of the really great functionality that we've developed in the last 3 months. I'm just going to present on the screen. In the last 3 months, and give you a bit of a sneak peek for what's coming in the new year, because a lot of us are really hoping for 2020 to end soon and, start 2021 fresh with a whole bunch of great product dropping to help make your businesses and your lives much easier. So before we get into it too much, look, our vision for this product is to deliver you a single system. Now, that single system incorporates our partners and the clever integrations we've been doing with them. And at the end of this presentation, we're actually just going to run through our marketplace, our ever-growing marketplace, because we're very thankful for our partners who've joined us. But we want to give you that single point, that single system to help you manage everything in your business. Now, our vision is to be the most comprehensive cloud product in market. And that starts with a great residential property management system and automating those key property management tasks. But it also extends to delivering commercial functionality and best-in-class commercial functionality to our customers. We have a lot of RPO clients and a lot of gateway clients who've been waiting for an advanced commercial module. And we are in the process of building that out. And as of next quarter, which is our Q3, January to March, we're building out our holidays integration. Now, Console Cloud is already an all-in-one solution. We have a great tenant app that we encourage you to take advantage of, a great owner portal with a lot of functionality and benefit for your owners. And with the release of Maintenance Pro this quarter, we've got a really rich tradie ecosystem and maintenance management platform to help streamline your business. So let's get into it. What do we want to do over the last 3 to 6 months, TJ? We had a lot. Yeah, we had quite a lot that we wanted to achieve. We really wanted to automate the lease renewal process. And again, thanks to our beta clients who have come on the journey and helped us build out that functionality. We'll be demoing that today. And we encourage you, if you have REI forms or if you're in Victoria and have forms live and DocuSign, to trial out this really great functionality. We wanted to transform the inspection experience. We'll be demoing our Console Go Inspect app today, and we're going to give you guys a sneak peek of what's coming early next year. We're really focused on helping you provide a superior experience to your owners and tenants than your competitors. We'll be talking about Maintenance Pro and how we're helping to improve your productivity there, how we've put the PM activities in the palm of your hand with the Console Go app. We're going to show you about where we are in the journey for building out our best-in-class commercial module for those of you who are interested in commercial functionality, and just give you some advice on how you can stay abreast of those commercial changes. Console Pay's had a facelift and some additional functionality has been thrown into there to make it an even better direct debit solution. And just some of the new, enhancements or visual enhancements that we're making throughout the product to make it easy for you to manage your system. This is just a summary. Obviously in our roadmap, guys, we break it into trust accounting, workflows, and core system functionality. I'll call out a couple of things on here that weren't called out in the previous slide. Insights Plus, not only are we going to look at the reporting that we have in the system today, but TJ's going to demo as a sneak peek some of the great benchmarking tools that we've been building. Really keen to chat about our marketplace and our partners and where they are for our New Zealand and Australian clients, as well as some of the foundations that we've been building for communications. We're committed over the next 6 months to be building a two-way communications hub within Console Cloud. So emails coming in, SMS coming in, And we've started putting those building blocks in place this quarter. So let's dive right in. The first thing we're going to demonstrate is our automated lease renewal. Now, for those of you who've been on cloud for quite some time, you know that we come around to these workflows. We put the building blocks in place, and then we try and keep improving that capability. And this is one of those examples. Now, to make this part of the system work, like I mentioned, you need an REI Forms account in any state except Victoria. And in Victoria, you would have a Forms Live account and a DocuSign account. Once you have those two things in place, we can connect them to Console Cloud, and it will change the lease renewal form to look like this. Now, you can always go back to the old view of the lease renewals if you want. If you want to manage it step by step or manually. But I guess our question is, why would you? We've given you this great tool to automate the flow, and you have control through every step of that process. So we'll dive in and demo that now. It starts with filling in the lease details. So obviously this is a demo account. I can see when my lease ends up here on the 7th of November, 2021. So this isn't a real example. The system's moved that date forward, the start date, and I'll just move that forward as well for the future. I can see my current rent's $4,000 a month. I'll keep it at $4,000 a month. Frequency's monthly. I'll just move that pay to date forward. Now the system, because I'm integrated with, this is obviously a Queensland account, but it works wherever you are in the country. It's picked the lease renewal form. And because these accounts also can have templates, it's allowing me to choose a pre-filled in template if I had special conditions or anything like that I might want to add as part of this renewal. Now in Queensland, a lot of our customers have given us feedback that they'd also like to send the notice to leave form at the same time they're sending the renewal, in case the tenant doesn't want to, I guess, renew, or the owner doesn't want to renew. I'm not going to do that in this instance, but you can see that it just links back through to the REI forms, and I'll send it as part of the envelope. Just asking me for this is important for the signing agent, so just bear with me. It's case sensitive. So this is the property manager who will sign the DocuSign agreement. And again, the fees have been pulled through from the PMA, the property management agreement. And because I'm only doing a 6-month renewal, I'm going to untick this 2 weeks and just progress with the 1-week renewal.
Yeah, so Matt, basically what you're doing here is you're setting up this lease renewal. So the system can just basically take these parameters and carry out the automation. That's
correct. So I'm going to click save there, and it takes me out to my, my REI account. And I can come down here. You don't have to do anything in here. Some people like to review the form beforehand. They might add a special condition in. But what we need to do is we need to make this form no longer editable. So down the bottom is a finalize and download. And Cloud's smart enough to stop me from doing anything incorrect. So if I went start now without finalizing, if I start my autopilot, it'll just tell me, hey, Matt, you haven't finalized that form. So I'm just going to finalize that form in here. I don't need to do anything else. Cloud automatically connects, knows that that document is finalized, and I'll click the start button. Now you can see what's automatically happened is on my little autopilot guide here, it's sent the owner intention email. So the owner, which is TJ in this case, he's about to receive an email that asks the owner's intention. Do they want to renew? And here's our rent recommendation.
So we're just going to switch now to the owner's perspective. So you can see I've got my emails open here, and looks like I just received an email from Matt, which is the property that I own, and there's a rent recommendation there. So as the owner now, I can actually provide my response. So not having to speak to the property manager in this case, all I have to do is just provide my response here using these smart replies. So we're going to go ahead and renew using the recommended rent in the email. And I might just put some instructions in here as well. All good, please proceed. And hit send. So that's now done. We'll switch back to the workflow, and Matt can take us through the rest.
Thanks, TJ. So what TJ has done is he's broken the automation. So again, the feedback we had from our beta clients was they wanted to retain control. Now, if TJ had not added any notes, and we'll just refresh this lease renewal so you can see. If he hadn't added any notes, it would automatically move on to the next step. But because he has added some notes, we've given you the ability just to review those before you resume the automation. So if he just clicked the renew recommended rent, we'd be moving on to the next step. But because he's added an instruction, it's just given us a little pause. It's flagged what the reason, so that comment, and I could resume the automation by clicking that button. So now we're basically picking up our DocuSign account, so link to DocuSign, grabbing that form and sending that form to the tenant to sign first. So that'll come through to me. And also I'll just quickly show you while we're waiting for that to happen. The timelines still contains all the events. So no matter where you are, you can see exactly what's happened. There's the lease agreement. I can click on that. I can see the email that was sent. I can see the owner's intention. There, you can see the renewal, and you can see that the automation had paused. I'll just close that out.
Every action on this lease renewal is captured in that timeline. And while we're waiting for the tenant's intent email to come through, I'll just show you some of the other things that you can do within this workflow. You can also message your owners and tenants from within here at any time by clicking on message, and you can send a message to your tenant or owner from within this workflow, which then records the conversation within here as well as on the property timeline.
That's right. So if you just flick to my email, TJ, I've got my agreement. So I'm the tenant in this case, and shortly I'll be the property manager as well. I can continue using my DocuSign account, sign in as Billy Goat. And that's the agreement. And I'm just going to finish. Oh, actually, sorry guys, you probably can't see my screen, but I'll bring it back up shortly. You'll see the signed agreement come back through. So as a tenant, I've signed that agreement. And what will happen is now we'll just wait for it to be picked up by console. Can you just refresh that, TJ? Thanks. Just open up the timeline. Okay, it's still just waiting for that. In the meantime, guys, I've actually received now as the property manager the DocuSign agreement. So I'm just going to quickly sign that.
While we're waiting, I'll just fix up the screen share so we can actually get the screen properly coming up. Just bear with me 1 minute. And we're just going to share that again. This time I'm going to share the whole screen.
Yeah, that's
okay. So looks like we got it now.
cool. So here I am, guys. I'm now the property manager. I just did this as the tenant before as Billy Goat. You can see the details there. Now I'm just signing this as the property manager. And I can finalize that agreement. Now, what's going to happen is I'm going to receive this as the property manager. I'm also going to receive it as the tenant, and the owner will also receive a copy. And if TJ just refreshes that screen, this lease renewal will disappear shortly. Let's just go into the timeline there, TJ, if you don't mind.
Yep, sure.
We can see that Billy Goat signed. So you're getting these prompts throughout the process, so you always know where things are. And behind the scenes, we will send reminders, SMS reminders, to those tenants who haven't yet signed. Now, if you've got multiple tenants, the system will do a round robin of tenancy signing. So it'll send it to the first tenant, the second tenant, the third tenant, before it comes to you. Now, if you just refresh, TJ, this takes a little bit of time. It's
just a few minutes.
Job that runs in the background. Great. We'll be able to go to Malt Street now, which was our property. So that form has been renewed. As the property manager, I've received a copy of the contract just to let me know that it's all finished. Of the lease renewal, sorry. And we'll see the fees charged there. automatically. So it is a hands-free process. Obviously, if anything stops during that process, you take control of it manually. So we've built a fail-safe in there for you, but the automation is really streamlining our clients' lease renewal process, and it continues to get better and better. And there's a few questions coming through, so I'll leave those ones for Brooke to answer online. TJ, we'll move on to the next part.
Thanks, Matt. So what we'll show you next is what we've done to simplify navigation in Console Cloud. So we know that a lot of you require access to owners, properties, and tenants. And so what we've done is we've basically removed the need to have to go to multiple screens, and access to common pathways is now through one place. And that's the Property Hub, which is what we're calling it. Before I show you the Property Hub, I'll show you that we've got a global search at the top here, which I know a lot of you probably don't notice it sometimes, but there's actually a global search field here at the top that allows you to search by property. You can also search by person or contact. For example, if I look up a tenant, it brings up this drawer here that shows me the details of this tenant, their contact information. I can also message and access their profile from within here. And I can also see if they're using, for example, the tenant app and which properties they're linked to. So in this case, I can see that they're currently renting this property. So let me click on the property.
And that drawer, TJ, comes out in a number of places within Cloud. And the idea is that if you're working in the product, working Console Cloud, and someone calls, you don't have to leave the context. A lot of that stuff, hopefully, you can see from that sliding drawer.
Yeah, that's right. And as Matt mentioned, that those drawers do appear depending on where you are. For example, if I click on the owner's details there, I'll see the same drawer now showing me the owner's details. Coming back to the property hub, you can see it's a very visually appealing page, and it has all the information that you need regarding this property in one place. So I can see, for example, the photos of the property there, the attributes for this property, access details. Along the top here, I have access to my messaging feature from within here, so I can message my owners and tenants within one place, as well as access to workflows. I can create and initiate new workflows from within here as well. We've got a full timeline for this property. So every action that's occurred on this property, whether it's inspection or compliance related, will be tracked here. And you can also see the latest in the inspections and maintenance workflows from this place.
And you've got those financial widgets there as well, TJ, that give a quick summary.
Yep. So you no longer have to drill into the owner's cards to view the balances. You can actually see that on the screen now, and it pops out just like that. And for those of you that haven't noticed it, we've actually implemented a rental calculator in here as well. And finally, you can also see insurance and compliance details. So we've just tried to make it as intuitive and easy to navigate as possible, and also reducing traffic from having to go into multiple pages. You can now view everything that you need in one place.
And guys, we've been loving the feedback. I mean, we released this quite early on, and we've been building it based on the comments and the feedback we've been receiving from you to continue to streamline that part of the system.
Great. So now we're going to show you, the next thing we're going to show you is our fully integrated, totally automated rental collection system. So it's called Console Pay. And what I'm going to show you is basically how we can quickly set up a tenant, and then with Console Pay, be able to direct debit rent, bond, as well as invoice payments. And
Console Pay has been around for a while, TJ. And what we're really showing you is some of the enhancements to make it more useful for you.
That's it. So in this case here, I'm looking at a tenant that's currently configured and set up to use Console Pay. If you have a brand new tenant, you'll see an option here that says set up Console Pay, and that's how you can actually onboard that tenant. So we made it really easy to not only invite the tenants from within Cloud, but also set them up if you've got their details already ready to go. So in this case, we're just going to quickly have a look at how this tenant is set up. So we'll see that the tenant rent is being debited each week for $550. I can also set up now the invoice preferences for this tenant. Now, in this case, the tenant has agreed to pay their invoices using direct debit, and I'll show you how that actually gets used later in the system. And you can also see any outstanding invoices that are currently there, which you can easily schedule for direct debit as well.
So I guess to be clear, TJ, a lot of people use Console Pay for their rent collection, And a lot of the smarts and additional capability we've built is also now allowing them to opt in to pay their invoices as well.
Yep, that's right. So here's an example of this tenant's upcoming payments. So we've got an invoice there due on the 19th, and it's going to be debited soon. And there's also some rent that's going to be collected as well. We can also see the full payment history of this tenant. Previously, you'd have to jump into to a different portal to view this information, but now it's embedded into Console Cloud. And finally, you can also set up the tenant's payment details from within this one place. So we've just made it really easy to set up Console Pay. What I'm going to show you next is how we've embedded it into the payments process. So we'll go into invoices, and let's say, for example, we've got an invoice for a tenant that we need to pay, and the system is smart enough to know that this tenant is set up with Console Pay, and I'll now have the option to schedule this payment using direct debit and email an invoice to the tenant.
And the preference is there.
The preference is there, that's right.
So use Console Pay for the invoice. If you'd mark something else, do not use Console Pay for invoices, that notice would be there as well.
That's right. We've actually gone one step further. So for most common types of invoices, for example, water bills, as you're processing these bills in the payment screen, the system will know if the tenant is a Console Pay tenant or not. So I'm just now going to process a Sydney water bill as an example. And the system is now using FlashScan to actually read the invoice and pre-populate all these fields. So you can see I didn't have to fill anything in, it did it for me. So all we have to do is just put in a quick description. And I have the option now to invoice the tenant because the tenant is set up to be charged for water usage.
So the property is water compliant and the tenant has been set up.
Water compliant, that's right. So we'll process the payment. There's a duplicate check that comes up to let me know that I've done a similar payment before, which I have. I'll just ignore that. And we're now creating the tenant invoice. And you'll see down here, we can actually schedule this payment to be debited by Console Pay as well. So as you can see, we've covered all bases when it comes to rent.
How do those payments appear, TJ, when they settle into the trust account? Where do they appear?
That's okay. That's a good question. So they actually appear in the bulk receiving screen. So each day, cleared funds will automatically appear in this list. And all you have to do basically is just select all these transactions. They're normally selected automatically. You can see, for instance, all these invoices and rent have actually come through from the previous days, and I can just receipt with one click.
Great.
It's as easy as that.
Before we move on to Maintenance Pro, for any of our Queensland customers currently using Westpac who may have received a notice regarding PayWave, this is your alternate solution. So the notice, it was about PayWave no longer submitting funds into your statutory trust. This is an option for you to consider. Thanks, Matt.
All right, so next we're going to take a look at Maintenance Pro, which is our new comprehensive workflow that digitizes the whole maintenance workflow. So you're not having to deal with paper, there's no more double handling, and also you're not having to deal with multiple systems. It's all part of Console Cloud. And most importantly, it keeps the owner, the tradie, and the tenant fully up to date throughout the whole process. So I'll switch now to a different office that I have set up with Maintenance Pro. And let's take a look at how maintenance is now managed. So we previously, in our last webinars, we've shown you in quite in-depth the Console Tenant app. And we've made some changes to the app to now capture the tenant's request and basically built out a triage function. And Matt, maybe if you want to just stop sharing your screen so we can bring this up on the full screen. All right, so I've got my phone up and I'm going to now open the Console Tenant app, and Matt's going to walk us through the tenant triage process.
Yeah, thanks, TJ. So rather than just receiving random requests from your tenant about things that they probably should be able to action themselves, we've actually built the triage process directly into the tenant app. For example, if you're in the tenant app and as a tenant and you're adding a general request, let's say a light bulb has blown, and rather than that request coming through to you and then you contacting the tenant, the idea is we can step them through a process and give them some guidance and tips to resolve that issue before it becomes a maintenance request on your in your workflow, which I think is really great, especially for things like pilot lights going out on gas hot water systems. This process hopefully will stop a large portion of those nuisance requests hitting your inbox. We're all about saving you guys time, and the best way to save you time is to eliminate parts of your work.
That's right. And look, for the most genuine requests, they can still be sent through the Tenant app, and they'll come into Console Cloud. So I've got an example here where there's a situation where the tenant has lodged a request. There's a leak in the roof. They misspelled leak in this case, but let's have a look at how this now appears in Maintenance Pro. So I'm going to click on Maintenance Pro, and you'll see we're now using single sign-on. We brought you into the Maintenance Pro platform. So it's one login to access this other system as well. And we can see the details that the tenant has provided. And there's also some images there as well. So let's have a look at the picture that the tenant took. Okay, in this case, there's literally a leak in the roof. So it's a genuine request. What we can do now is we can probably just action this. So as a property manager now, I'm going to modify this task, and we might actually send this off to the owner first for their approval. So the great benefit of this Maintenance Pro platform is we've now embedded the owner approvals, the quotes process, all in one place. So we'll start with getting the owner to approve this. We'll estimate that the repair is roughly $250 and hit send. Now the system will send these templated emails to the owners, to the tenants, and also to the tradies to keep them up to date. In this case, the owner is going to get an email basically asking to approve this request. So we can go ahead and send that now, and we can do the same for sending out the tenants, emails as well. So the request has now been sent. I'll switch now to the owner view. So I'll move into my emails, and I'll show you an example of an email that the owner would have received previously. So here's one that came from my property manager. I'm the owner in this case. So I've got some details there about the leaking roof. So I can click on here to provide my response. And this is just a great way for the owners to quickly have a look at the issue and provide their responses. And they have a number of replies that they can provide here, which then updates the workflow within Maintenance Pro. Great. And this is something that we're actually going to embed into the owner portal. So right now it comes through as an email. In the future, we'll actually add this component here into the owner portal, so they can just go in there and provide their response.
And they can have a history of all the other responses they've provided.
That's right. So as the owner now, I'm just going to say, all good, please proceed, and hit submit. So the owners now provided their approvals. We'll come back into the workflow, and I'll see the status change up here to show that the responses I've received a new response. And this list over here is a great way for you to keep track of any changes to statuses on your maintenance requests.
Yeah, it gives you that flag of your to-do list.
Yep. So here's the request that we got approved earlier. So what we can do now is allocate this to a tradie, which I can also do now within Maintenance Pro. So we're going to now allocate this job. Hit confirm. I can now select the tradie to carry out this job. And the beauty of Maintenance Pro is I've got access to over 75,000 trades people around Australia and New Zealand. And
so up the top will be your preferred trades?
That's right. So these are my commonly used trades over here. And so the one I use in particular is Handy Andy. I can see their details, access their profile, their star rating, as well as view things like whether they charge for quotes, their licenses, and insurance details. So that's all visible there. So we'll select Handy Andy for this request. The category in this case is handyman, and we'll go ahead and save this. And the system will now send out these templated emails, which you can customize, by the way. So it'll send out these emails to the owner, which will go ahead. And it's going to send the same email now to the tenant, and finally to the tradie themselves, so they get the actual job and a copy of the work order as well.
TJ, I think it's also just worth pointing out that that's a good way to start to review those emails as you're sending them. But as you get more and more comfort with the system, it is a setting. And when you go and send that request for work, we can actually send those emails in the background.
That's it. So now that the tradie has received the job, they can now liaise with the tenant, carry out the job. Once it's completed, they can provide their invoice for approval, which will come into this invoice approval section. So let's have a quick look there. So you'll see that the job has been completed by the tradie for the leaky roof. And I've got a number of options that I can do now. One of the great things with this is I can actually send this job now to the tenant to verify from them that they've completed the job satisfactorily. So I'm going to hit on this link, which will now send an email to the tenant. And I'll show you an example of what the tenant will receive. We'll go back to my emails real quick. Now, as a tenant, I'll receive this email, and I can click on this link to view the jobs that were carried out by the tradie. I can see there that the tradie attended the job, fixed the leak, and I can confirm that was completed. I can also say it wasn't completed, or I can send a note to the PM, which comes into Maintenance Pro. Let's say that the job was completed, all good. And we can also now rate the tradie as well for their services, which is then captured within Maintenance Pro for other PMs, other jobs to see. So the job's now completed. We'll go back into Maintenance Pro, and I can now hit the little thumbs up to approve the invoice for payment. So the invoice has come through automatically using Maintenance Pro, and all I have to do now is just confirm the invoice number, invoice totals are correct, and hit confirm. This now sends the confirmation email to the owner and tenant that the job was completed, and also an email to the tradie that the invoice has been processed and approved. Meanwhile, back in Console Cloud, if I go now into my bill section, I should see the bill for this job come through there. So here's a few bills that have come through previously. Let's click on one of those. So I can see that the job has been approved there, and all I have to do now is hit pay if there's enough funds. And in this case, there's sufficient funds to pay this bill.
Great. So end to end, from the tenant submitting the maintenance request through to the invoice being paid, the invoice being paid. It's all contained within Console Cloud, and there's no double handling of information. There's no paper. It's a full digital process.
That's it. And this is probably a nice segue into the next part of the demo, which is the new bills workflow that we've got currently in development. Is scheduled for release next month. So one of the things that we've added here is just an easy way for you to track bills as they come into the system. So if in this case, all my Maintenance Pro bills will automatically appear in here, but I can also add new bills, for example, rates, water bills, etc. I can just add them in here by just dragging and dropping them. And then we'll also have FlashScan to pre-populate these fields for you.
So TJ, the major difference, I guess, from this bill screen to our current payment screen is you can actually have all of those bills in the system and deal with them later, rather than having to do them at the same time you've loaded them.
That's right. So you can load the bills in here and then keep track of when they're due. And on the due date, you can pay the bills when there's enough funds. One of the other major improvements that we've also added is for every single bill that you add into the system now, you can on-charge these bills to the tenant, which is something that we couldn't do previously. You'd have to go and create a tenant invoice manually and then put the details in. Whereas right now, I can actually send this bill off to the tenant, put in the correct dissection. Let's say this is for tenant reimbursement for repairs, and send that off to the tenant, which will basically create the tenant invoice as well as attach a copy of this bill. So it's just a massive time savings, because we know that more than 40% of your bills are generally on charge to your tenant. So you no longer have to create a separate invoice to do that. You can just do that in one step.
Great.
So that's our bills workflow. Okay, so we'll move on to the next part of the presentation, which is Console Go Inspect. Now we're going to take a look at our brand new app, which is Console Go. And Console Go Inspect is an add-on that we've also released recently that allows you to carry out inspections using our new app. So I'm going to now switch to my phone. Bring that up there. And go back to my home screen, and we'll open up Console Go, which is available on both iOS and Android. So I'm using an Android phone right now, and I've installed the latest version of Console Go. So we're going to open it up. And I'm now in Console Go. So I'll show you what you can do with Console Go if you don't have Go Inspect activated. So right now I can view my inspections that are upcoming. I can also view past inspections as well. And I've got a bulk check-in key feature as well. So for example, if I'm at the property right now and I need to carry out an inspection, I can check in and check out my keys.
Probably more likely, TJ, you're at your agency and you're about to check those keys out for your inspection
that's
route
right.
for the day.
That is more realistic. So before we actually go into the details with that, I'll show you some of the other stuff that you can do. We've got a search feature over here, which allows me to search my contacts, owners, tenants, as well as properties. So for example, if I'm looking up an owner, I can bring up their details, contact details, as well as see if they're connected to the owner portal and also what properties they're linked with.
So if you're on the go and you're taking a call from an owner or a tenant, you can get that information at your fingertips.
Yes, that's right. And you can also do the same for tenants, as well as view the property details as well, which is great if you get a call from the tenant and they need to know when their lease is ending. So you can view their details on the screen.
What was the inspections and maintenance buttons on that screen?
Yep. So you can also view all the inspections and maintenance that are currently open. So in this case, my open inspections, as well as any open maintenance requests there as well. So it's all accessible within the app. And there's also a settings section where you can go and customize the apps to suit your needs. Now, if you have Console Go Inspect activated in Console Cloud Marketplace, you'll be able to carry out inspections. But first, I'll show you the check-in, check-out feature for the keys, which is this icon up here. So I can see these are all the properties that I'm currently inspecting today. I can check in the key for this one, or sorry, check it out rather. So let's take the keys for the property, confirm. Matt's now going to quickly show us in Console Cloud that the key has been taken for this property. So we're going to search that property.
Great. So I'm at the property and I'll just go, it's the wrong one, TJ. Try again.
Yeah, it's the, we need to switch to a different office. That's why.
Okay.
Yeah, go to Acme at the top there. Yep, cool. And 200 Adelaide. There it is.
So just down in the key check-in area down here, if I wanted to go and check those keys back in, I can actually see that TJ's checked that out today and it's added the reason for the checkout, which is a nice little feature.
That's it.
And I could check it in back at the office if I wanted to, or
do it in the app as well.
Or do it in the app.
So if we switch back to the app now, thanks, Matt. So yeah, so checking the keys back in can be done easily from this one screen. So we'll get out of that. So I can see I got a number of inspections there for today. They're a pretty busy day. So we'll actually do the first one for 200 Adelaide. So I can view the details of the inspection. The start inspection option is not there if you don't have Go Inspect. In this case, I have it, so I can actually carry out the inspection. I can also view details about the owners and tenants, and also access maintenance up here. One of the new things that we've added to the Console Go app is the ability to send messages directly from here. So for instance, if I'm at the property and need to tell my tenant that I'm going to start the inspection, I can send them a text message directly from here, which is then recorded on their timeline.
Within Console Cloud.
Within Console Cloud, that's right. So we'll start the inspection. Now, I've got a number of options here. I can actually copy my condition report from the previous inspection. So you can see I did one yesterday. So I have the option there to copy everything that I did yesterday into today's report. This is handy if you're doing, for example, an exit inspection and you need to copy the contents from your last entry, which you did about 6 or 12 months ago. So you don't have to start everything from scratch. You just know what's changed. So basically
inspections by exception.
Exactly. And you have the option to include the photos or take fresh ones. So what we'll do is we'll actually we'll copy the inspection from yesterday and we'll also copy the photos as well. Hit next. And it'll bring up the inspection. My comments from the previous day are there as well. So I can now go in and change that if I need to. So I can also rearrange the order that I'm carrying out the inspection. For example, if my entry is ahead of the lunch room, I can change that order. I can also add new rooms. For example, if a mysterious 5th bedroom appeared, I can add that in here as well. Now, carrying out the inspection is really easy. You just go into each room, you note the condition, what's changed, and you can update the comments, edit. Looks good to me. It's my trademark comment. And I can also update the photos as well. I can see the previous photos that I took yesterday. I can delete them if they're no longer current. You'll notice that the system has actually timestamped these photos as well. So on the report, you'll know that these photos were taken previously, but I can take some fresh ones as well.
Just probably worth pointing out just some feedback on the previous app. Now that we've rebuilt this app from the ground up, you can do things like zoom in. You can add the flash if you're in a dark room. So it uses some of those native features of your phone, which are really, really useful.
Yeah, so there's the zoom function right there, for example, and we've got the flash in the top right corner, top left corner. And you can also lodge maintenance requests directly within here. Another cool thing is you can view the history. So I can go back to comments taken from the beginning of time and see what this room, well, this part of the room was like back then. And you can copy it to the current inspection. That's pretty amazing. And also, once I've completed this room, I can mark it as done, go back and move on to the next room.
I think the awesome thing there, TJ, entries and exits, massive inspections, a lot of photos, sometimes multiple people within the property. So you can actually see those being ticked off if you've got a partner in the same house doing one of those larger inspections.
That's right. So that's actually one of the main benefits of this new app, which is multiple people can actually do the same inspection. And as Matt pointed out, as they go through and complete each room, you'll see them get ticked off like that. Okay, so the inspection is not completed. I can hit save, and I can always go back, edit the report, or I can edit the report in cloud as you normally can. But another cool thing that we've added is the ability to send this report now, and this works for routines only because they're fairly small. I can send this report directly to the owners and tenants from within the app. So let's say, a good example is, nothing's really changed since the last inspection and the report's good to go as is. I can send the report directly to both parties straight away from this app. And I've got options there to use a template. I can see who it's being sent to and hit send. That takes like a couple of minutes to send, depending on how fast your internet is. And if you go back into Console Cloud, we should see on their timeline that a copy of this inspection report has been sent. It hasn't gone yet, but you'll see that a report like this will be sent on their timeline.
It's great. So everything can be done end-to-end in the phone, or you can come back into Console Cloud and edit that inspection.
That's it. And it's all tightly integrated with Console Cloud as well. So as soon as you complete an inspection on the app, it happens, it appears in Console Cloud immediately. Also, I didn't show it to you, couldn't really demonstrate that, but it works. It has full offline capability as well. So even if you don't have internet access, you can still carry out your inspection, use the app, and as soon as the internet becomes available, it'll upload everything.
And give you an upload prompt as well, just to let you know, just so you can have peace of mind. And
that's right. So you'll see there's a little upload complete section down there, which shows you everything that's been uploaded back into Console Cloud. So just giving you peace of mind that these inspections have been sent back to cloud.
Thanks, TJ. And as part of the sneak peek that we'll run through in a couple of minutes, we'll look at where the paperless inspections within Console Go Inspect are going.
Okay. So we'll actually go back into the slides and Matt can take us through what's coming up next.
Thanks, guys. I see we're just a little bit behind in time. Lots of questions coming through, which is great. And again, as we mentioned, we're giving you a bit of a sneak peek on some of the things that we've been building out this quarter, which is October to December. And as you can see, commercial has a really large bearing within our business. We've got a team solely working on commercial. And over the next 3, 6, and 9 months, there's a lot of great capability that's dropping. I'm going to give you a sneak peek on some of the things that we're building out there. Obviously, Console Pay has been a focus. Maintenance Pro, we're continuing to invest in. Inspections, we're continuing to invest in as well. And we're showing you a sneak peek of that, as well as our benchmarking for your arrears. It's really insightful to know. And TJ will show you how that works. We've got some continued UX improvements or usability improvements. We have started our journey for property advertising. And we've got more work to do on that over the coming 3 months, but it's really exciting. And we're looking forward to giving you a sneak peek of that at our next webinar. And again, our partners are such a critical part of our business, and really provide additional utility to the Console Cloud ecosystem. So I'll be running through who those partners are and just talking about where they are in the process. Sneak peek. So commercial, guys, commercial actually has its own roadmap within Console. So if commercial is something you're interested in, I really recommend you keep an eye out on our events page and in our newsletters, and follow the commercial webinars. They happen every month, and they're a really great opportunity just to see, what's been done and what's coming. And it is pretty exciting. So, we are building a little commercial. It'll have its own menu item up here, commercial menu item. You'll be able to view all your commercial properties, filter them by specific events like who's in arrears, see some prompts, and then go into the commercial, each of those commercial properties, and dive a bit deeper. This is actually something that we already have live. If you've got commercial properties, you're probably already using this capability, but it's the ability to generate your outgoings on your invoice.
That's right. You just basically set up your recurring invoices once, and the system will automatically just send out these invoices for you on the nominated schedules, like you can see there. You can specify when the invoices need to be sent and also when they're due.
Yeah, so if you have fixed outgoings, it just goes out with the rental invoice as well. And you can see that you can actually align those things with the tenancy rent periods. So that capability available in cloud today. I guess this is something that our commercial clients or commercially focused clients have been really looking for as well. This is the ability to start tracking how the bond is received for those commercial properties, as well as building out your scheduled rent reviews. And on the back of this will be your tenancy schedule report. So what's the review date? What's the increase? Is it fixed, percentage-based, CPI? And that can actually you can add other lines and create a schedule of, tenancy schedule of what that looks like for the life of the tenancy. Often these commercial properties are multi-year. Again, we're just continuing to improve on the way to, manage your ownership funds. So, you have an owner with multiple properties, actually being able to allocate a bill across those properties, amortize that bill, which is highlighted in this screen. So, we'll denote commercial properties as something a little different. Nice little blue icon up there. You can see the outgoings for this location, which is 45 Duncan Street. And these are the units within that location. Now we're tracking the square meterage, so you can amortize these bills based on that square meterage. So really cool functionality, really deep, and you can go into each of these individual properties. That's a really quick overview, guys, of commercial. Like I say, it has its own roadmap, and our commercial webinars, the next one is scheduled in January, is a really great place to go and get a little bit more information on where that commercial product is going. We think it's really exciting, and we're hoping it will be best in class within the next 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, so please check out those webinars if you're interested in seeing the commercial module as it gets built. So what I'll show you next is just a sneak peek into some of the new data-driven reporting that's coming very soon to Console Cloud. So all this is going to be released next month. I'm actually going to switch to a live environment so you can see this in action. And the very first one we'll take you through is our benchmarking report, which is a great way for you to track how your arrears in your agency compares to other similar agencies within, could be your network or it could be in your suburb. In this case, it's actually a comparison of all agencies using Console Cloud. This is just a demo database, by the way. So what I'm looking at right now is this first headline widget, which gives me a single rank. And the ranking is useful because it tells me how I'm compared to other agencies in terms of arrears management performance. So my ranking right now is 157 out of 891. So the lower the number, the better your rank. In this case,
in the top 25%.
In the top 25%. But as you will see that was actually back on the 24th of October. So I've actually got my filters over here set to show me my best ranking, which is back down on the 24th. Ooh. Actually, today, my ranking is pretty outrageous. It's on the bottom 25% in this case. And this is a nice sort of visualization that shows you how your arrears rank has changed over time. And you can see, for example, back in sort of mid-October, my ranking has been improving, and which indicates that I might have implemented some strategies. I might have moved all my tenants to Console Pay, for example, or I might have even hired a new person to manage my arrears.
Or you've added the arrears workflow. We're getting a lot of great data out of this system, and it's a great way just to I guess sense check your performance. There are definite trends that we're seeing in the people who manage their arrears better than other agencies, and they use the workflow. They have reminders set. They're relentless on their follow-up. These are some of the characteristics that we're observing of those, really top 15% of agencies who are managing their arrears.
Yep, that's right. And you can also see as your rank changes, it just means that you might have to, have frank conversations with your staff on how we can improve performance. And this is just one way for you to see that. And this is just an example of the types of insights that Console Cloud can now give you. Another report that I'll show you very quickly is something that we've also come up with to measure your rental rates performance. So this report over here identifies all the properties that are currently under rented on your portfolio. Actually, before I show this, I'll just draw your attention to this one up here, which shows you all your properties currently being managed on your platform. And it also gives you a health check on the attributes for all your properties. It tells you which ones don't have any bedroom information, bathroom information, and car space information. Now, the reason why it's highlighting these issues is so that you can actually go in, you can speak to your property managers and make sure that all these fields are being captured within Console Cloud, because we then use that information to determine the rental performance of your portfolio, as well as the fee performance as well. So in this case, using the sample data that I have for this office, I can see that across my portfolio of properties, of 100 properties, I can see that about 50% is considered to be high rental value. So the rent of these
comparative to the rest of the portfolio based on their property attributes.
That's right. It's based on the property attributes, and it's compared to similar properties. So in this example here, there's 27 properties where the rental income for these properties is high, which is good. And then there's 10 properties here, 10%, where the rental value is low for these properties, which means I need to go and review the rent for those properties.
Or there's an opportunity. Or there's an opportunity to go and review those rents.
That's right. And possibly increase them so I can, increase my owner satisfaction as well, and increase my revenues as well. Now, we can also do a similar comparison here on fees as well. And you can see that in this case here, I've got 50% of my properties, or managements rather, on below average fee structures. Now, a good example in this case might be that, I acquired a rent roll recently, which doubled my portfolio, but the fee structures were completely different. So I need to go and review my fees for those properties. To see which ones, I can actually click on this widget, which then dynamically updates the list down here, and it shows me all the properties. And I can scroll down here to the right. I can scroll there, and it'll show me all the fees currently set up for these properties. So I can now take action on them if I need to.
So it's just a little part, and just to show the direction of where the Insights product is going. Obviously we promote our workflows very heavily for Console Cloud, and that's to help you do less. This is the part of the system to help you identify where you can make more.
That's right. And this is just a small taste of the reports that will be coming soon. So stay tuned. We'll be adding more in the coming weeks. We'll switch back to the presentation.
Thanks, TJ. So TJ's kindly demonstrated the Go Inspect and part of our app. Obviously, we've got a really aggressive roadmap, and I just want to give you a bit of a sneak peek and a bit of a flavor on where we see this heading. The headline feature is paperless inspections. So our aim is to give you the ability to do a paperless entry inspection, which requires you to do the inspection as the property manager and then send that inspection over to the tenant for the tenant to either agree or disagree with those elements in the entry. So the idea is that once you've completed your inspection, we will populate the tenant app with the inspection for the tenant to go through and conduct their own inspection, and then we'll also collect their electronic signature as part of that process. You as the property manager will be just tracking where they're at. So generally the tenant will have a date and time for when that entry inspection has to be commented on, and you'll be able to see that in Console Cloud. So you'll never lose track of where that process is up to. And finally, and one of the things to round this process out, our aim is to really make you guys look great to your owners. We think about it a lot, and this will be the version, the paperless inspection version, that will be presented within the owner portal. So it will see all the areas. They'll be able to sort through the areas. It's a really nice looking report, have all the photos, and view your comments and the tenant's comments as part of that paperless inspection process. So it's really exciting. We're really excited to build out the capability. As I mentioned, it'll be part of the Console Go Inspect ecosystem. And, that'll be sometime in March, April, where that will be finalized. Just quickly, guys, our partners, we've got a lot of partners. So where you see the orange underscores, they're available in Australia, and our blue underscores are available in New Zealand. So on top of these great partners we've had for quite some time, we've just added PCA in Australia for the Property Compliance Australia, and Fast Connect in New Zealand are our two newest live now partners, and we've got a whole bunch coming soon. So some more property compliance partners are on track and will be part of our ecosystem shortly. On the tenancy application side, we're getting closer to delivering our Snug integration, and for our New Zealand customers, our tenancy.co and 10up in Australia. Property Inspection Manager nearing completion of their beta, and will soon move into our live category, and Bricks and Agent NIFA tradies are also part of our marketplace. We've got some more marketplace announcements coming up over the next 2 to 3 months. So stay tuned. Guys, that pretty much concludes our, we're right on time, our webinar. Really encourage you to join Console Insiders and have your say. And anyone online today who's not an existing Console client customer who would love to get a bit deeper into the product and understand all the other capability that we haven't, demonstrated today, please go to console.com.au/buy now and register, and we'd love to give you a more in-depth demo. Guys, just on behalf of Console, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We appreciate it's been a really tough year for a lot of our clients, 2020. We're really looking forward to moving into 2021 with a bang, and supporting your businesses as they grow and become, the dominant businesses in your area. Thanks, guys. We'll stay online for a little bit just to answer some of the outstanding questions, and we'll be back in the new year with our summer release webinar.
Thanks, everyone.